The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss, does it really work, those home remedies for your garden? Does it make sense? As well as preparing for the fall garden. Our guest is author Jane Barlow Christensen will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy that you've taken time out of your day to allow us to be part of it. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether you're doing that on one of the 18 AM and FM frequencies. Broadcasting our program here in 2024 under the Season 8 tab on our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, or podcast replay, in-studio video replay. Thank you so much for being part of the program. If you missed any of our previous episodes on the radio, you can always visit them all at our parent website there, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, under the Season 8 tab. Yep, 8 seasons in, and we've got every episode documented. You want to be part of the program as we continue? You can do that by sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and send us your question over, or let us know where you're listening from. You can also give us a call toll-free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Well, Holly, before we get in the program, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
This week's joke of the week is, my neighbor just buried $1 million in his garden because he wanted to make his soil richer.
Seems like that would be counterintuitive, I know I'm thinking too deep in it.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's a joke, yeah. Don't do that.
Okay, so anyway, this week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family home and yard protected from pest insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So,
does it really work? We've seen these consistently on a daily, even hourly basis on some of our social media platforms that we have, or our admin it. And we're going to go over several of these. Let's start with one that probably some of you have already participated in, which is, I'm going to put some Tums underneath the tomato plant in order to prevent blossom end rot, because that's a lack of calcium.
Right. So, this is obviously a myth because we're talking about it, or it doesn't work, but it does work.
All of these don't work, okay? So,
well, it does work, but you have to have a bunch.
We had our first guest of the year back in March, Robert Pulvis, was on the program, and he enlightened us. He's the gardenmyth.com guy. And yes, the Tums does work. However, in order to get the proper amount of calcium in the soil for your tomato plant to uptake correctly, you need 80 Tums. The uptake of calcium is not necessarily the exact result of blossom end rot, the blackening of the tomato underneath as it ripens. The problem is inconsistent water, and we've said it time and time again. You can add all the calcium in the world to your soil, but if you don't consistent or regularly water and keep that soil damp to allow the calcium that you have already in your soil to be transferred from the soil into the plant, due to that moisture being in the soil, allowing that transfer to take place, you're going to have the problem over and over and over again. So yes, Tums do work. You need 80 of them per plant, but the much cheaper alternative is just to simply water consistently. And if you really are concerned, there are certain areas where calcium deficiency is a real thing and not a made up, I saw it on the internet, so I got to do it in my garden. You get a soil test from soilsavvy.com. They'll give you 16 points of analyzation to tell you what you have and what you don't have and how to get what you need in order to have a healthy garden.
Right, and I was just reading today about a few things when I was looking at some of these garden myths, and a lot of these macronutrients like calcium, potassium, magnesium, etc. Most soil is not lacking it.
No.
It's usually something they're lacking, like nitrogen, phosphorus,
The big
potassium.
three, yeah, in some instances.
So this is why it's good to have this education on these garden myths, because you might not even be lacking this nutrient macro. Macro? No,
Yeah.
it would be micro.
Macro and micronutrients.
Right.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be necessarily even lacking it, but because, the internet exists, or your neighbor from back in 1982 told you this, now you believe it. But again, you're simply just kind of watering the plants, and that's what makes a difference.
Another one is Epsom salt prevents blossom end rot. Explain that one. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. Blossom end rot is a lack of available calcium.
Right. So there's no science here. And this has been stated by a lot of people to add the Epsom salt. And so similar to the Tums, where you put the Tums into around the plant or wherever it may be, then you water. Well, the same thing with the Epsom salt. A lot of people are like, go out there, sprinkle some Epsom salt water in, and it's typically recommended for blossom end rot. And so then your blossom end rot goes away because you watered your plants. This happens because a lot of times we will, in many areas, you'll plant like the appropriate time here where our station is. It's like Memorial Day weekend. So then, you always get like rain, usually the first week of June or whatever. And then come mid to end of June, early July, it doesn't rain as much. Maybe you're not watering properly. You're not thinking about it. Locks up the nutrients in the soil, doesn't allow the plant to access those. You water because you add this Epsom salt, and voila, your problem is solved. It's because of the watering.
Another one is homemade weed killer. Now, this is where you take Epsom salt and you take dish soap and you take vinegar and you make this concoction and you spray it on your weeds, and it magically kills the weeds. The vinegar and the salt, the salt and the vinegar and the mixture of the soap attaches itself to the foliage and it kills it. This does not work simply because there are vinegar-based weed killers on the market. Nat Green Products has a wonderful natural vinegar proprietary-based weed killer. The difference between your vinegar and vinegar that is designed to weed kill is the percentage. Typical over-the-counter vinegar is 3 to 5%. Now it's 5%, and now some of them are, it's 3% now because of whatever the case is. Weed killer on the market is anywhere from 20 to 45% vinegar. It burns the plant. Now, it's not a glyphosate where it goes directly to the roots and eliminates the plant in like 48 hours. This is a more safer way of dealing with weeds. There is several applications in which have to be taken in order to eradicate the weeds in which you're trying to kill in some instances. Some weeds are weak enough in that 20 to 45% vinegar will kill it right away. But making your own concoction at home with your home vinegar and soap and salt, it does not work.
Right. That's exactly true. So let's talk about banana water.
Banana water.
This was a new one for me. So banana water. Here.
Everybody's got bananas and they're shoving it in water and they're saying, "Oh, I water my garden."
It's not bananas. It's
the banana peels.
Right.
Put it in water and you let it steep for I don't know how many, whatever. Pick a number and that's how long you're supposed to let it steep for. And then you water your houseplants and you water your vegetables. And my goodness, PBS and the home and garden show is right there, video in your garden because it's so wonderful.
Is that what happens?
Apparently.
Oh, okay. So this is another myth or another misconception.
It's a lie.
I mean, yeah, banana peels can release some magnesium and potassium into your water, but your your soil is not lacking it.
Well, but the amount of the bananas you would have to have in order to get the proper amount of potassium you don't have enough money to buy those bananas.
Right. Yeah, that's just it. I mean, Is it going to hurt your plants? No, it's not going to hurt.
But do you
plants.
have better things to do than to shove some banana peels in water and let it steep for X amount of time?
Maybe it's a fun little project for you and your children.
But it's a waste of time. Put the banana peels in the compost pile.
Right.
End of story.
I agree. I just can't imagine the smell. It can't smell good.
Well, some of them I've seen puts them in like an old peanut butter jar and then tightens the lid on it so it steeps better. I don't know.
Still.
And putting in your compost pile eggshells.
Eggshells. So this is a really.
Well, put eggshells underneath the tomato plant. I mean, I understand some of you do these things because you are not aware that it doesn't work because it has been passed down, or you've seen what you felt was a trusted source online, or your favorite YouTuber going, "Hey, buy my shirt. Here's how you grow tomatoes." Or buy my sponsor. Here's how you grow. There's some of them out there that will do that. What do I need to tell you about the gardening world in order for you to buy my merchandise and to subscribe so I get more AdSense? We're not one of those people. We don't have 1 million people on YouTube. We don't have 100,000 people on YouTube. Because maybe part of it, the reason why we tell the truth.
Right. I think that could be part of it. So eggshells, here's the theory, is that you take your eggshells, you let them dry a little bit, and then you crunch them up in your hand and you toss them. A lot of times it usually involves tomato plants. You toss them around the tomato plants and it's supposed to fix all of your problems.
But I pulverize them into a powder and then put them at the bottom of the hole.
You could do that too, but you need a bunch of eggshells.
And it takes, yes, the smaller the particle, the quicker the egg mechanics of the egg will break down. However, the level of calcium that's in an eggshell is minute to what a plant would be required to have to supplement what may be missing out of your soil. In addition, the egg shell and the nutrients involved in that eggshell can take 12 to 18 months to actually break down to it's turned into soil and the nutrient has been released and now is in the soil for a plant to uptake.
Right.
Put in the compost.
Put in the compost.
And if you've done these things, I understand. We're just trying to advise you not to do them next time so you have more time.
We did Epsom salt for a long time.
Yes.
For a long time.
Till we were educated.
So there's no shame in that. New information comes along. It's okay.
That's why we're here, to help you have more time doing other things than doing things that don't actually work or work to the level of what you may anticipate them doing because you've seen results online, and we can't always trust everything we see online. We can trust Walton's Incorporated that has meat and meat products for you.
Yeah, we know that you care about canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables, but what about the meat? At waltonsinc.com, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product to your high standards. If you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like, Walton's created meatjustics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. Walton's even has a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, at waltonsinc.com to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more. And when we come back,
we're going to talk about planning your fall garden. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons, their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. That coupon code is ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online. Take the guesswork out of composting with the AeroBin 400 or smaller 200 for easy composting. The AeroBin mimics how nature decomposes waste. The AeroBin is easy to use. You prepare your balanced organic waste, just open it up, drop it in, and close. After a short time, fertile compost is produced, which is easily accessed via the lower side door. The thermal insulation in the AeroBin conserves heat, leading to rapid breakdown of the biomass and works efficiently year-round, even in cooler regions. There is no need to turn the biomass, and it is patent rodent resistant. It has little odor and can kill annoying weeds and seeds. It is BPA free. The AeroBin 400 or 200 comes with a reservoir at the bottom to collect the leachate. When diluted, makes for great compost tea liquid fertilizer. AeroBin composts kitchen and garden waste quickly. Easy to assemble with no special tools needed. The AeroBin makes composting rewarding and easy. Go to Costco.com to purchase. Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. Money back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order.
Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Happy 65th anniversary to David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com. Goodbye, biting bugs and plant invaders. No More Bugs by Naturally Green Products is your answer. No More Bugs is DEET-free and not sticky on your skin. USDA certified, No More Bugs has been a favorite by consumers across the country for over 14 years. More than a repellent, it is safe for you, your plants, pets, and home. Available online at nomorebugs.net, Amazon, Walmart.com, and the Home Shopping Network.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. We're going to talk about fall gardening, getting your plants ready, what to plant. But first, a word from our good friends of Honey Bee Healthy.
Since 2000, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has helped beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Attracting pollinators to your garden this year is as simple as hanging a hummingbird feeder with a mixture of sugar water and Honey Bee Healthy Original. Don't be alarmed to see birds, bees, and butterflies dining together at the feeder. Pollinators coexist peacefully. Honey Bee Healthy Inc. is offering a 10% discount on an 8-ounce bottle of Honey Bee Healthy Original to this show's listeners. Enter discount code BEEGARDEN at checkout. For more information, mixing instructions, and to purchase products, visit honeybeehealthy.com. Well, fall is not here.
It's not here. But in order to be a successful gardener, one must prepare for the upcoming season well before the season arrives. Just like Big Ag, you're already planning for what you're going to put, how you're going to deal with the fall and next year and what's your crop rotation and all this other stuff. So some people believe, or some people do practice the art of gardening from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and that's the end. Others expand from early, as soon as they can get in the ground, to as late until the frost or the snow comes. And some have worked into their regiment a way of growing a lot almost year-round with low tunnels, high tunnels, and greenhouses. We're going to all the things. We're going to focus on just the simplistic of what you could plant and how to go about doing such.
Now, some of these you can plant in the spring, and some of them you can plant in the fall, and then there's some that you could try it and see what happens.
You do both. Spinach. Now, with a lot of these are going to be cool weather crops. These are plants in which do not like the heat. And in some instances, as the days get shorter and the nights get cooler, these plants thrive and like it. That's why, for example, let's talk about rutabagas. We've attempted to grow rutabagas in what once a Zone 5 and now a Zone 6 garden in the spring. And out of about 6 years of trying, we were able to harvest very nice rutabagas one year. Then we started planting them in approximately the 1st of August. Rutabagas take 90 days to reach maturity. So as the days, August, then you got September, and then it starts cooling down based on the year, and we harvested them somewhere around middle or early portions of November. As the nights got cooler and the days got shorter, they produced very well. Turnips, we did the same thing. Turnips take about 60 days. But that August, first, second week in August is whenever we now plant our rutabagas. Other things in which you can plant spinach, leaf lettuce, radishes. These are all relatively quick. Radishes being the quickest at under 30 days. So you don't want to plant those in August. This is all based on your particular growing zone. Your mileage is going to vary based on if you're in Memphis, if you're in Boston, if you're in Denver. You want to kind of figure out when does the heat really stop and the coolness starts setting in. That would be when I would start planting my radishes and my leaf lettuce and my spinach. Not to where it's going to freeze or frost, but where those nighttime temperatures are in that low 50s. And the daytime temperatures really don't get into that high 80s or high humidity. You're looking at mid 70s. And you can grow these in partial shade as well. Leaf lettuce, you can harvest at any time, but about 45 days to maturity. Spinach, give or take, somewhere in that range as well.
Right. So those are some great options. I think another thing to mention is this is not the same as winter gardening or
cold frame.
Cold frame. Thank you. I can't think of the name of it. You're not utilizing a cold frame. So these are plants that you are going to harvest before, a hard freeze. They may be hardy, like for example,
Hard.
A lot of times people leave their kale. You wouldn't start your kale now. You would have had it established at this point. But people leave their kale because it can survive a light frost, even a light freeze, or I don't know if light freeze is the correct word. So yeah, you do have some different options here. So this is different than cold frame or window box or whatever you want to call it gardening when you make the cold frames. This is just like an extension of the season. And I would highly recommend, maybe your cucumbers are done, or who knows, or you just didn't get something planted and you're like, I'm going to give this a try. Give it a try. You might have extra seeds, whatever. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out for you.
If you don't have seeds, you can go to jungseeds.com. That's JUNGSEED.com and use coupon code 10TG24 and get your seeds there. If you missed any coupon codes, by the way, you can go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and underneath the Money tab at the top of the page, all the coupon codes are listed, from air conditioning to water storage to seeds to barbecue stuff. All the sponsors you hear.
Right. So, yeah.
Let's go with carrots.
Let's talk about carrots. And this is one vegetable. I almost said plant. Well, it is a plant. One vegetable that you can actually leave in the ground in the winter. Right. Some people will overwinter them or store them in the ground over winter. So yeah, carrots are a nice plant to grow.
70 days to reach maturity. As you start them, you want to cover them, and this is applicable in spring or fall. For the first 7 to 21 days is how long it takes to germinate, by covering them with a piece of plywood, a piece of cardboard, a 2x4, something in which you're protecting the moisture, or you're preventing the moisture from evaporating out of the soil and keeping it close to the seed coat of the seed. You're going to get a very good stand, about 80% germination, if not more, if you're using fresh seeds. And then every 7 days, you'll check and lift up that board. Is it do you see white stringy things? That's the carrots. Go ahead and remove that board or that covering, and then they will turn green and start flourishing. By overwintering them, I believe this is an old Amish trick. Wherever the carrots are at, you will mound leaves on top of them. And I'm not talking about a couple inches. I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 foot, whatever you got. Big mountain of leaves.
Like a whole heap.
A whole heap of leaves, so much that the neighborhood kids could hide in it and you wouldn't know they're there. Clubhouse size of leaves. And what you're doing is you're creating a refrigerator. You're covering the carrots, preventing the soil from freezing. And then as you want to harvest them, you would dig back, and you're going to have, the soil is going to be very cold. Dig back and then dig out the carrots. Now, I do not have the statistics on, well, if it's 37 degrees below zero and I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, is this viable? Will it work if I have 7 foot of leaves on top? I don't have that statistic. I'm sure there is something on the World Wide Web, which is now on computers, that would tell you what the parameters of that on. But we're talking, it's October. You got a snow coming. The temperatures are not going to get really below 20, 25, 18. It's not going to be frigid, middle of the Arctic type of temperature when it comes to this.
Right.
Swiss chard.
That's a good one. Especially if you don't have an opportunity to grow it for a long time, maybe it didn't do well, you'll still get, some sort of greens, little.
People will substitute or use the substitution. Swiss chard will grow all year round or all summer long. It's not heat sensitive. And if you grow spinach, this is a good alternative. It's not spinach, but it's a good alternative. And for fun, you can make cheesy Swiss chard burritos.
Yeah, so this is something Joey likes to do. Basically, you take your Swiss chard,
cut the stem out, or the center portion of the leaf,
and then you take, what kind of cheese do you use?
Whatever cheese you like, shredded cheese.
Shredded cheese. That's what I mean. Like, was it sliced or
shredded cheese?
And then you roll them up like a little burrito taco situation. Mm-hmm. You use toothpicks. And then what do you do?
Well, you can either put it on the grill for about 45 seconds or you can put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. What occurs is you have that cheese melt and bond to the Swiss chard leaf, and you got this little cheesy, kind of healthy, kind of not healthy treat.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So it's delicious.
Well, and Swiss chard now, fun little fact, the whole plant is edible, the leaf and the stem. And there's multiple colors. Rainbow Swiss chard, which is, a burgundy, a green, a white, a yellow. Most of the Swiss chard that we've grown is white stemmed. And people typically will utilize the leaf portion for the edible. However, we did do pickled Swiss chard stems, and it is one of the most popular videos on our website. It was horrible to eat for us. We did not care for it. It was like, it almost had the texture of pickled celery.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, I think, was it kind of stringy? I don't remember. There was something stringy, that was like, it was just
stringy,
and it was like chewy.
And chewy and then crunchy at the same time.
It was odd. It was an odd texture.
It was a legit canning from Ball Canning. It was not something we concocted.
I feel like if you drank a lot of like Bloody Marys, you probably would like that as a garnish. Maybe if you like celery, kind of.
Pickled Swiss chard stems is what the video is listed on the website and on YouTube, and I'm sure there's other people whom have done such a thing. Well, Holly, summer is in full swing, and the nasty Japanese beetles are, if not already, soon to be ready to attack and wreak havoc on your yard.
If you're looking
garden.
If you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts, derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria. Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray it on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits, veggies, in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, but it's the best product to use because it is safe to be used around beneficial insects such as bees, butterflies, and ladybugs, and has zero water toxicity. Go to BeetleGone.com. The makers from Phylum, you go to BeetleGone.com to learn about Beetle Gone. Or if you want to learn about all the products they have available, go to PhylumBioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM Bioproducts.com. Who do we have coming up momentarily, Holly?
We have
Jane.
Her name is Jane Barlow. Her name is Jane Barlow Christensen, and she is a master herbalist.
And when we come back, hang out with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Wind River chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more. Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated seed company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 10TG24 to save 10% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 10TG24 at jungseed.com for 10% off. Mantis tillers, the premium long-lasting gas-powered tillers, are the perfect solution for any garden. This Mantis machine is available with 2 or 4 cycle engines with a 19-inch or 16-inch tilling width. Your DIY companion in your garden and your lawn converts easily for edging, aerating, and more with optional attachments. Find details at mantis.com. Are you ready to take control of your home's comfort? With Mr. Cool DIY Direct, empower yourself with our top-notch do-it-yourself cooling and heating solution. Introducing the Mr. Cool 4th Generation Mini Split, the DIY-friendly way to keep your home perfectly comfortable all year round. Our systems come with everything you need for installation, including our patented pre-charge line sets, eliminating the need for expensive professional help. Visit MrCoolDIYDirect.com to learn more and to take the first step towards a cooler, more comfortable home. Don't forget, use promo code GARDEN for a special discount and free nationwide shipping. Mr. Cool DIY Direct. Cool your house, heat your space, all by yourself. Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com. Make hand watering easy and enjoyable with HoseLink retractable hose reels. No more tripping over hoses, kinks, tangles, and avoiding rolling the hose up. With an automatic retractable HoseLink saves you time and effort manually coiling up your hose, leaving your focus on the things that will bring you joy in your garden. Available in multiple colors and lengths, you'll be sure to find the retractable hose that works for you. To find out more and to buy online via hoselink.com, use coupon code RADIO10 for $10 discount.
Water supply tanks provide BPA-free, long-term safe storage for drinking water from 35 to 1,500-gallon tanks. Water supply tanks has you covered. From preparing for unexpected needs, off-grid property, easy gardening access, and more. For questions and to order, visit watersupplytanks.com and use coupon code GARDENING10 to save 10% off your order.
Nice garden. And lawn. And flowers.
What could this amazing liquid spray be? Just another fertilizer? Nope.
SoilDiva.net. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy you've chose us to be part of your day. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Jane Barlow Christensen is a master herbalist, author, owner of Barlow Herbal, and she had a book published very recently, Be Your Own Shaman. Welcome to the program, Jane.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your day, not only to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. And I will start with this. For those who may not be familiar with the term, what is an herbalist? What is the characteristics or the classifications or the qualifications one needs to have in order to be labeled that?
You know, that's a great question. So sometimes a master herbalist or an herbalist can be educationally trained, like classically trained in the education system, or go to a certification. There's many ways that you can actually become an herbalist. Now, I grew up with a dad who was a medicinal botanist. So he had his PhD in botany and what makes herbs tick. And so he raised me and my siblings this way. So I'm more of a generational trained herbalist. So I grew up with a house full of, herbs and pots and big gardens. And, my dad was always stopping by the side of the road to identify plants. And so I'm not educationally trained, but I am generationally trained at this point. So I think it's anybody who, has a love of herbs, and you can get your education in a lot of ways.
So he would stop and identify plants well before we had an app that took pictures and somewhat got accurate information from.
Oh, for sure. In fact, I'm second oldest of 14 kids. So we used to be going somewhere and he would see a plant he would want to identify. So he would pull over, we would all pile out. He'd be like, okay, this is this plant. This is the time of day you collect it. You use the flowers and the leaves. And you want to collect it during the spring or in the fall, here's the Latin name and the botanical name. And so we were always learning just by simply my dad geeking out on seeing plants that he would want to identify for us. So it was really fun.
And
it was really fun.
And that's fascinating because that was before a time of the internet. And with your father, you were firsthand. It's much like what we've been told. Like if you're going to go harvest mushrooms, you got to go with somebody. A book only tells you so much. And if you guess wrong, you're dead. You've got to be physically with somebody. Here's the characteristics of what you're looking for, and here's a false version of it. So it's really fascinating that your father educated all of you, and then you stuck with it through your life.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in the 60s and 70s, so it was absolutely before the internet, and I think that there's something really magical about having the hands-on teacher of, especially if it's your dad or a relative that can actually get your hands on the plant and you can touch them, you can feel them, you can actually see the way the flowers grow and how do you identify, a plant in the daisy family that might be poisonous compared to a plant in the daisy family that's not poisonous. So it's actually that type of learning is so, so cool. And now that I've not only got grown kids, but now I've got grandkids, it's so fun to be able to carry on that piece of beauty and education that my dad gave me. So it's pretty cool.
Now, obviously, when he was identifying plants, they would be, I would guess, some of them that he didn't know what it was. So would he harvest that and take it back and study and go to library and that type of thing?
You know what? I will honestly tell you, I have no memory of my dad not ever being able to identify a plant.
That's really amazing.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just... It kind of is like heartbreaking because I feel like
we've lost
a lot of that, not only just in like herbalists, but just a lot of things like farming, older like gardening techniques.
What Native Americans knew, this is what killed you, here's what healed you, and we kind of said, we don't want to know that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think that, here's the thing. I have a lot of hope, though, because I see a real rise in people who are interested. And this knowledge is coming back full force. And here's the cool thing, too, when you said, Holly, about Native Americans, my parents, especially my dad, had a true love of Native American plants and their properties. And when I was 4, my parents adopted 3 Eastern Shoshone Native American children. They were 4, 3, and 2. And they were raised right along with us. And so there was that layer of my dad loving Native American plants and then having these 3 Native American siblings that we grew up with, that it just enriched the whole experience of all of that. So I think there's a real rise from my perspective in people being interested in, if I grow a feverfew plant in my flower garden, not only does it look pretty, but I can actually use certain parts of the plant to go after a headache or help with a migraine or, whatever. I think there's a real rise in this type of knowledge coming back. It's such a beautiful thing.
I would have to agree, especially with the access to, I know like on TikToks, there's a lot of foragers, a lot of people who make these really quick videos that help other people learn. So I would agree it is coming back. I think there may have been a dip, but people do still spread that information, and it is very promising and helpful. So speaking of information, your book, Be Your Own Shaman, a field guide to utilize 101 of the world's most healing plants. What can you tell us about the book and something to really pique our readers' interest for them to go pick up a copy? I mean, our listeners' interest for them to go pick up a copy.
Yeah, so my dad wrote a book on medicinal botany when I was in high school. It was released in 1979, and it was called From the Shepherd's Purse. And it had 48 plants. It, to this day, is still a classic, but my dad passed away 26 years ago, and I've been carrying on his work now for more than a couple of decades. And the whole time that I've been going, not a week goes by that I don't have somebody either call or email and say, hey, you guys need to really republish your dad's book. This is such a classic. And because my dad actually self-published it, that book way back 45 years ago. And it seemed like I needed to update it, and I wanted to add more plants to it. So about 5 years ago, I started doing just that. So his book had 48 plants, and I took those same 48 plants and I updated the pictures and the illustrations, and the medicinal properties of plants don't change. So a lot of his original text. In fact, did you guys end up getting a copy of the book?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. So I was going to say, the way it's laid out is I want anybody can pick up this book and not be overwhelmed by too much information, but it's got really usable, user-friendly information. So when I did this, it was kind of like a love letter to my dad and his brilliant, beautiful legacy. And this is, it was just an amazing thing to bring to the world. And it's just kind of my gift to show my dad how grateful I am for what he left to the world. And just, I love the times we're in because people really are so interested in, wow, if I did what grandma did, with this old herbal recipe, like this is truly coming back. And I think you're right, Holly, about the whole, someone watched a TikTok on something or, a YouTube short, and it's like, oh, I need to go check this out. So, the book is a update of my dad's original work, and it was really, really fun to bring out to the world.
Fantastic! It is. I'm sure it's definitely like an honor and a remembrance as well for your father or to your father. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
He sounds like a neat guy. So most people know lavender is a calming herb and common knowledge. What are some common herbs? And you had mentioned feverfew. What is the common herb people may already be growing and they don't know that they're growing it, or they might be interested in growing it that'll fit nicely in their garden with some healing properties that they might have right in their backyard?
Yeah, I love that question. So everyone's the favorite dandelion that we all try to pull and get out of our yards. And, there's so many medicinal properties in a dandelion. And it's not just in the leaves, but in leaves and the flowers, but also in the root. So the root of dandelion, and also the leaves as well, but it's really concentrated in the root, are powerful properties that help detox and support and nourish the liver. And it's really, really well known for that. So to me, in fact, dandelion is one of the plants in the book, was in my dad's original book too. My thing is make sure that you know where you're actually picking the dandelion. That a lot of people spray their yards, and maybe you have a neighbor that sprays, glyphosate or something not good. And hopefully people are educating their neighbors, or they're being, but dandelion is one of those plants that I actually love them in my yard because I use them all the time. Another one, I would say that there's a group of plants that people are really familiar with in their gardens, and that's your common spices like chives and rosemary and basil and thyme and oregano, and even things like lemon balm. These are fun to have in your yard and in your garden. Not only are they pretty and people cook with them, but I don't think people realize the medicinal power punch that they contain, and especially when you get them fresh. A lot of spices that sit in your spice cabinet that are powdered and dried, or maybe have been sitting there for a few months or even a few years, they might still flavor your food, but they don't really give you very much of the benefits that you get from, say, fresh basil or fresh rosemary. So I think it's, the book has really got a lot of spice-heavy plants because people are familiar with, like every year, people love to grow basil in their garden, or keep a pot of basil in their kitchen sink. And there's just, besides like I said, that taste good, there's so many cool things about these plants that are really, really easy for people to go, oh, I can grow this and it tastes good and it's really good for me.
Well, how about CBD? Has really taken off. It seems like it's everywhere. One, is it safe to get it from wherever? And two, what are some tips about using it? I know some people are like, "Oh no, it's the plant. I don't want to touch it." That's a misconception.
Well, also there's that, but then there's also, there's the oil, there's the gummies, there's the
skin cream,
whatever. Yeah, the skin cream, all these things.
Yeah. So one of the chapters in my book it's the last chapter. Well, it's the last chapter on the plants. I added a chapter of psychedelics and sacred plants because I think that there is a surge, at least a big surge in interest. And in this particular chapter, I do add cannabis. I do have CBD in it. And now I also don't have preparation methods or dosing for any of the plants that are in this section because I think that there needs to be knowledge, there needs to be facilitation, there needs to be real care. Like, I've never been a person who, I do CBD. I had a knee replacement a couple of years ago because I had a horrible water ski accident, and it ended up, accumulating into a knee replacement. So when I went in and I finally found it was like the third or fourth orthopedic surgeon that I went to see before I chose one. One of the things that I said to him is I want to use these natural things to heal and to go after inflammation and pain and possible infection. I want to use these different herbs. And one of them was CBD. So I found one who was like, oh, okay, you really know what you're talking about. But the thing with CBD, which I don't think people realize, is that we as human beings actually have what's called an endocannabinoid system in our bodies. It's like when we have a nervous system or an endocrine system or digestive system. We literally have receptors that are called endocannabinoid, and our body recognizes the properties of cannabis. And it's been so demonized and so it's been made illegal and it's been criminalized. And I'm not saying that you should be, really flippant with it. And I've personally never smoked marijuana. I don't judge anybody who does, but I think that for me, I used CBD and I did use gummies with THC when I was healing my knee. So there, you can get CBD without the THC, which is the substance that makes you high. And for me, I'm not after that. I'm after all the healing benefits of CBD, the pain relief. It's got powerful anti-inflammatory properties. And there are good places of sourcing. Like I actually make some CBD products, but I source them very carefully from an organic farm in Bend, Oregon, where they're grown organically. I'm able to go in and check on exactly how they're grown and when the final product is done. So I think people just need to do their due diligence when it comes to purchasing CBD products, and that you just need to be willing to do some research.
Absolutely.
Is my best advice. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the time you've offered us. How can people find out more about you and get your book and the knowledge in which you have to share with all of us?
Well, so my book's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It just came out about 3 weeks ago, so super exciting. I have a little YouTube channel, which is under Barlow Herbal, and I get on and I teach little tidbits about herbs and other things. And of course, my website is barlowherbal.com. And again, to me, it's about education. People can be empowered if they know what they're doing. And yeah, it's a pretty brilliant time to be alive.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate the time you've offered us and the education, not only to Holly and myself, and all of our listeners. And I guess we have to thank your father for that he passed that on to you.
Yeah. It's been a pretty incredible journey being the one to carry on my dad's work. And I love what you guys are doing, and you guys keep up the good work over there.
Thank you very much. And when we come back, it's going to be your garden questions, our garden answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Water the right amount for the right time with the soaker hose from Eaton Brothers. Soaker hose is one of the best ways to water without drowning your plants. And with a timer, it becomes a set it and forget it way to keep your plants healthy and happy. Soaker hose is designed to work at low pressure, seeping water slowly and steadily over the course of 15 to 20 minutes so the water can percolate the soil and get to the roots. Designed and manufactured to be lead-free, so no harmful chemicals or odors are added to your water supply. Visit EatonBrothers.com for more information and to buy. Your mosquito frustrations are over. Now with Mega Catch, suitable for residential and commercial use. Mega Catch mosquito traps produce a vast array of mosquito-attracted stimuli, including safe CO2, and can attract mosquitoes and other biting insects up to 150 feet away. Easy to use and set up. The Mega Catch is ready to make your outdoor space comfortable and enjoyable at megacatch.com. Use coupon code JOEYB, my name Joey B, at checkout and receive 20% discount on your entire trap order at megacatch.com.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along today. It's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. If you've got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Let's see what we can get through to the top of the hour, Holly.
All right, so the first question is when do I know when it's time to harvest my garlic scapes?
Your garlic scapes are going to be a additional growth coming out of the center portion of the plant. This is hard neck only. Soft neck does not have garlic scapes. That's the benefit of growing hard neck in some people's opinion. As that extra growth comes out of the top of the garlic, it's going to go up and curl around. Now, at any point, you could really harvest it, but what you want to wait for is the curl to occur, and then you would remove it with a scissors or snips at the conjunction of where it comes out of the plant. The benefit of doing this is you're not allowing the plant to use additional energy in order to continue to grow that sprout, which would turn into, or that scape, which would turn into a seed pod. It's going to allow more energy to go into the bulb. Now, the scapes are edible, and you can use them. It's a very small window of time that they are used for stir fries and garlic pesto, or people will freeze them for several other different dishes. And you want to do this. This is typically about 3 to 4 weeks prior to your time of harvest for the garlic, the hard neck. But when that curly Q top occurs, then you want to harvest it. And then the indication of when to harvest your garlic is when the lower 2 sets of leaves have died back and turned yellow. You don't have to wait for the whole thing to die off. And we'll talk more about that next week on the program.
Okay, so the next question is, when is the best time to harvest eggplant?
Eggplant can be harvested really any time you want. It's size. There is what you would normally see in the grocery store palm size eggplant. And there's, the traditional eggplant that we are most familiar with is the Black Beauty purple eggplant. Now, there are Turkish eggplants, there are white eggplants, there are long, thin, sausage looking like eggplants. But
I think those are called Chinese eggplant, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a few different varieties of eggplant. I think most people are probably referring to like the Black Beauty.
Right. And you can harvest it really any time, but there's a certain window, and image is more applicable for this particular answer. But you want to get it to about where the store size you would see at the grocery store. You can let it grow bigger, but the bigger is not always better because it will develop a woody texture. Some people, Holly and I are one of those who like to cut them in half-inch pieces and fry them in butter in a cast iron skillet. Other people will turn them into, eggplant parmesan.
Yeah, so that's a different dish. Some people just roast them.
And
we're gonna roast some this year.
And
as
there's people like Scott from Kentucky Ballistics that hates eggplant. So if you're familiar with that YouTube channel.
All right, so here's the next question.
Yeah.
Maybe you ask it.
All righty. Let's see here. With the intense heat, should I be watering more than twice a day? I have the irrigation system running at 30-minute increments at 8 a.m. and 5 p.m.
I would say that's fine. I can't imagine why you'd want to water more.
Well, it depends on a couple of factors. This one here is kind of, okay, here, sit down, let's write this down. If you don't have mulch, if the soil is normally porous and doesn't hold water very well, you have more of a sandy base, you would want to water more frequently. You definitely want to put mulch. If you have weed barrier, that is kind of a mulch. We've got weed barrier. We've not got the material mulch on top of that weed barrier yet. That seed-free, chemical seed-free, grass clipping, straw, shredded paper, leaves if you have it, in any type of material, preferably natural, that can be put on top to repel the heat. So in these really hot days, it's a variation. If you got really soil that drains very quickly, very sandy soil, have it set up for another 30 minutes at noon. Our soil is compost in our raised beds, and I have it set at 30-minute increments at 8, noon, and 5 under weed barrier with dripworks.com. And we are still finessing that a little bit with this weed barrier thing. That's the weed cloth. It's a whole new world for us. But the weeds aren't there. So makes me feel a little bit better, even though we're still working on getting that all figured out. I have some small peppers forming on my pepper plants, and I feel that it's too soon in zone 6 to have that happening. Where I live, should I cut them off or leave them on?
Well, you can cut them off. This actually question came from my boss, and
not me,
not my day job boss. So I assured him he could cut them off. It'll help the plant bush out a bit. It'll help the pepper plant kind of grow more and focus on the growth, because you want those pepper plants to get a little bushy first before they start producing the peppers. It's also still pretty early in the season.
What occurs there in some cases is the pepper was in the container too long and began to experience a stress level of, hey, I may not survive where I'm at. I need to start putting flowers on to get a fruit produced in order to get seeds, in order to carry on the traits of me, the plant. It doesn't care about you. It's naturally designed to carry on the traits. And we'll see that in many vegetables in the instance of it's too dry. They're stressed. They begin to flower. Certain greens will do that as the temperature gets hotter and the days get longer. All these plants that we have are all in a reproductive state to carry on the traits. They are not growing. Mr. and Mrs. Jones is growing me for zucchini, so I need. No, that's not the mindset of a plant. So, remove those. If you have some flowers on your plants, go ahead and remove those as well. We have some. I've got to remove them on our pepper plants, which are only about 7 inches tall, not very bushed out, and they were just transplanted about 3 weeks ago. So I understand that situation, and that is a good thing to do on peppers. Now, back to our segment 1 where does it really work, many years ago, and it may be still a process that some people practice on their strawberry plants. They'll plant their starts, their strawberry roots this year, and they'll start to grow flowers. And the old saying was, that first year, pull all the flowers off the strawberry plant. Don't let them put berries on to let the roots get established and get more foliage on the plant. Don't do that. You can allow that strawberry plant to produce berries that first year, and it's not going to long-term damage the plant at all. It's doing what it's designed to do, and by removing the flowers, you're actually hurting yourself because you're missing out on that first year of berries. Well, with that being said, we are out of time, and we appreciate yours. It's time to this portion of the program where we discuss what we learned today.
I learned a lot about the herbs, the herbalists, the CBD, all of that.
From our guest.
From our guest, Jane Barlow Christensen, about how our bodies have this internal processing of the
system.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. What did you learn?
Well, Jane informed us that she comes from a family of 14. 3 that she identified was adopted, and her dad was one of these people that we hear a lot about, that there was never an answer that he did not know the actual, or not a question that he didn't know the actual answer to.
Right. And that's pretty amazing.
And there's people in the world that will give you an answer to whatever question you have, regardless if it's right or wrong.
So when she was talking about her dad, did that make you think about your grandpa? Well,
there's very few people, I'm not going to mention, there's very few people in the world in which you can ask a question to and you can trust that the answer they give you is correct.
Yeah.
Well, what we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
Whether you're a gardener, a bee hobbyist, or a professional beekeeper, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has the products to help you maintain a healthy hive and thriving garden. For more information on how to use Honey Bee Healthy in your garden, visit honeybeehealthy.com.
When we tune in next week to the program, we'll be discussing dealing with bad bugs, what to do with them, how to get them out of your garden, as well as growing fall garlic, all the tips and techniques that you can handle in order to have successful garlic planted this fall and harvested next spring. And our guest is author and gardener Brian Bregatai will be with us and will answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.